Today you're going to learn two cool things. One of them is about the width of fabric and selvages, and the other is the grain of fabric. So if you're not familiar with those, stay tuned here. I want to talk about it a little bit. First, width of fabric. If you see the abbreviation WOF, that's width of fabric. That's how wide your fabric is. So most of our fabrics come on a bolt. They may come on a long roll, but on either end, you can see these special edges on both ends of this. This is about 44 inches wide. That's a typical width of fabric on most fabrics, especially in quilting. It may go up or down an inch or so. But these special edges are called the selvage edge. Now, what's interesting about the selvage edge, it's more tightly woven, so it will not fray and it will not unravel. So you're safe in that way. Now, the grain of fabric, also on the selvage, a selvage can give you some cool information, like the manufacturer. On this it says Benartex, that's one of our companies that we sell fabric for, and that also has these colored dots. These dots show every single color used in this pattern. It may be it's 13 colors here. When I first look at this plaid, I go, wait a minute, I see red, yellow, green, I probably see 5. There are 13 colors in this fabric, so that's what these little dots on the selvage tell you. So it's very helpful. Now, grain of fabric. The grain of the fabric, you've seen an old loom, right? With a lady working on a loom and doing a rug, tossing that shuttle back and forth. Those long strings in front of her, that's the grain of your fabric. It's very important. There's no stretch with the grain of your fabric. And the grain of your fabric runs in the same direction as your selvage edge. So this is my grain of fabric direction, all right? Now, if I were to go the other way, perpendicular to the selvage edge, that's called cross grain. First, when you're talking about the grain of fabric, the straight grain here, there is no, look at this, I'm pulling on this, there is no give. This is not a stretchy fabric, okay? Because I'm pulling on the grain of fabric. I'll give you an illustration of that as well. This piece of fabric, I cut on the grain of fabric because it's parallel to the selvage, right? Very simple to know. And like this, I'm tugging on it, there's no give, there is no stretch to this. That's your tightest piece of fabric. And ladies that wear skirts, let's say, if you have a skirt that the fabric keeps wanting to twist around while you're wearing this skirt or while you're walking in it, that skirt was not made very well because the pattern pieces were not laid right along the grain of fabric. That's why grain of fabric is so important, especially in apparel. Now, on this example, I have cut this piece of material cross grain across the other way. Now, remember how tight this one was when I tug on it? When I tug on this, I get a little more pull. Oh, I'm pulling in the wrong direction. You can see that? I'm stretching now. Cross grain gives you a little more stretch in your fabric, but that's not the stretchiest version. The last cut that you may see is a bias cut. And a bias cut is cut on a 45-degree angle. This is especially used in apparel, around sleeves and stuff like that. Sometimes you need your fabric to stretch. Look at this piece of material when I pull on it. That's a lot of stretch. The bias cut provides most stretch. The cross grain is the second amount of stretch, and the straight grain is the least amount. So that's why grain of fabric is important, and that's why the cut of certain things is important. In quilting, we cut a lot along the grain because we don't need our fabrics to stretch. In apparel, they use a lot of bias cuts. So I hope that is interesting to you. I hope you learned something, and happy sewing.